Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. Today we are going to talk about the Chevy Silverado EV and the Ford Lightning a little bit. Before we get started, smash the subscribe button for me at the end of the video. Give me a like, and we'll see you guys on future content. So within the last few weeks, some news just came out talking about GM is pausing the production for the electric Silverado and GMC Sierra EV. From late 24 at the Orion plant in Michigan to now late 2025. As you guys remembered a while back, GM had said, hey, we want to come out and have 1 million EVs on the road or built up by 2025. That's not going to happen. And interesting enough, I've seen a few of these concepts. I've seen this. I've driven some electric vehicles. I've driven the Ford Lightning. And I got to be honest with you guys, this type of truck doesn't really fit in the real world for most people that are using a truck for what it's worth. If you need it to get around the site like a UTV or a golf cart, then that works. Is it going to be a range crusher towing? Absolutely not. The Chevy says is only going to tow about 10,000 pounds when it finally hits the ground here. I don't even know what the Hummer truck does, but it's kind of ridiculous in the grand scheme of things. But at 10,000 pounds and less than a 400-mile range makes it kind of ridiculous unless you're just going to be driving it. And in addition to it being that it has such a low tow rating for most people and being a unibody, you're not going to be hooking up a fifth wheel to that. So that really doesn't fit a lot of people's dynamics. But, the biggest thing for me when I sit back and think about it is when GM hits the market with the Silverado electric vehicle, the 3-work truck level starts at around 75 grand. And I don't know about you guys, but that seems way steep for a truck that really has to be shut down. If you use it as a truck, you're probably going to be cutting the range in half. Run the heater, run the heat pump, whatever you want to call it, plug in your phone, use all of that swag, that's fine. But really, who's buying a work truck anyway? Say a fleet's going to buy it, that's fine. I've seen some low-grade Lightnings out there that people are using on sites, and if that floats your guys' boat, if that works for your company, that's fine. Again, the infrastructure is not there yet to support this high of a demand of electric vehicles. And then again, I don't know about you, but when I clock on the truck, I'm going to put about 400 or 500 miles on one trip. I don't have time to stop with my trailer and plug it in somewhere where there's not even a place to pull up and charge the truck with the trailer. So, when somebody asked me a while back what I thought about it, I think it's just an idea that they're throwing out there. And for me, that's not ever going to work. I will never buy one. If they made a hybrid pickup, maybe so. But let's talk a little bit about what GM's doing and why. So the Orion plant is where basically the Chevy Bolt is made. That is going to be an outgoing little vehicle, so it's going to be gone at the end of 2023. But really, GM and Ford both really struggled to even produce and boost the EV sales and production. And even though their sales look like they're up, in retrospect, the numbers are so low, saying that Hummer delivered 1,100 of those things. Well, they're over 100 grand. So, I mean, if you're going to have 100 grand, that's insane to spend on a pickup. And really, at the end of the day, I mean, they only sold like 15,000 bolts and in third quarter. And I think there's a number here. Let me get to it, where Ford only sold 3,500 of those in quarter 3. So again, when you look at a trim level of work truck that's already $75,000 and you can get a nicely equipped half-ton with a little diesel in it for less than that, it makes not a lot of sense. And then when you want to step up to those nicer trims, the RST level, you're talking over 100 grand. And that is outrageous. I don't even know how people would even justify that. At that point, why even have a truck if you're that concerned for the environment? Then might as well just let off the throttle and just give it up, and get yourself a little Prius or something like that, and forget towing, because that's not really going to be at. But yeah, when you look at it, they basically have cited that there's just a low demand. The market that they hope for just hasn't panned out. Again, coming out and hoping these EVs would take off like crazy at that price point, when you brought out subcompact pickups again like the Maverick and the Santa Cruz, you're making these huge jumps in fuel economy in both diesel and gas engines. I don't know why they won't focus on, say, like a hybrid. Ram's e-torque system is not quite a true hybrid per se. It's not giving you a huge thing. The Ford F-150 has the power boost, which is neat. I think it doesn't provide a ton of miles on the electric engine, but and actually when it runs on the gas engine, it's way less than the 2.7. So, you know, at the end of the day, they're basically saying that, you know, hey, we're going to pause this. The demand's not there. They had to, you know, pander to the agenda of, hey, everything's got to be electric. Like a couple of years ago, everything's got to be changed over. And, you know, at the end of the day, they are neat to drive, and they have crazy horsepower, 500 horsepower, 700 horsepower, whatever you want to with those electric motors. But all the power in the world, again, doesn't help me get down the road if it's dead in 250 miles. I got kids that want to plug in everything that they can to charge on the way. I have all this stuff, all the comfort features inside of it, and to me, it just doesn't add up. And for a manufacturer to come out and say, hey, we're just going to pause now production at this plant. Now we're still going to kind of continue them at the other plant. They have another plant down that they call Factory Zero, and that one is where they're going to continue to produce like the Escalade, IQ, and the supposedly the GMC Sierra EV and all this stuff. So, you know, at the end of the day, that is where it's at. I know a lot of people were excited that this was going to start coming out in 23 and maybe early 24. That doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Obviously, we do have the Hummer EV here. It's out. If you can afford that bad boy, if that's something that fits your guys' you know, needs, then by all means go for that. Just keeping in mind, if you live in a cold climate, that the potential of those batteries to drain on their own is going to happen. We had battery pack generators where I worked. They were new, and what's funny about it is you had to tow this giant battery pack somewhere, and these are the same batteries they use in the cars, and you then needed a diesel generator to charge it enough, and then it would only run about half as long as the diesel generator. And then when it sits in the cold, or it doesn't sit on a trickle charger 24/7, it drains because of the cold. So unfortunately, you know, again, these vehicles are going to suffer from that if you live in a cold area. So for me, I don't know, guys. That is interesting news to come out, where GM is going to pause its production of those vehicles, and I would be surprised if a lot of these even hit the road. I don't know too many companies that want to spend $75,000 on a work truck when they can go buy one for, say, $45 to $50. But maybe they get incentivized by some type of grant or whatnot. But that is the newest update, guys. Again, Ford is slowing their production of the F-150 Lightning, and GM is pausing the Silverado EV and the Sierra EV. So I appreciate you guys being here, and we will see you on the next one.